And that's because this was designed to be the women's entrance, and the other side was designed to be the men's entrance. That way, men watching women going up the stairs would not be able to see their ankles, the ankles of the women going up the stairs. In 1911, the school was redesigned, and instead of having only 3 floors, they designed it to have 5 floors. And then later an elevator was put in. So it's been through a series of redesigns and repurposes. Now it is the home for the math department. It's named after Judge Matthew Deedy. Judge Matthew Deedy, who presided as judge of the Territorial Supreme Court. He also presided over the State Constitutional Convention. Deedy was later appointed U.S. District Judge for Oregon. He compiled and annotated the general laws of Oregon. In addition, Deedy was the author of the Constitution of the State of Oregon, the first Criminal Procedure Code, and the Oregon Civil Code. Deedy is perhaps most famous for writing Article 1, Section 35 of the Oregon State Constitution. When Oregon became a state in 1859, its constitution, written by the hand of Judge Deedy, restricted the rights of various people. It was the only state admitted to the Union with an exclusionary law. No free Negro or mulatto not residing in this state or at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall come, reside, or be within this state, or hold any real estate, or make any contracts, or maintain any suit therein, and the Legislative Assembly shall provide by penal laws for the removal by public officers of all such Negroes and mulattoes, and for their effectual exclusion from the state, and for the punishment of persons who shall bring them into the state, or employ or harbor them. It is reported that Judge Deedy was one who helped outlaw slavery in 1844. This may seem to indicate that he had an enlightened attitude toward African Americans. This was not the case. The aim of making slavery illegal was to keep African Americans out of the state forever. To this end, a lash law was passed the same year, declaring that any Negro in the territory be whipped 20 to 30 times every 6 months until he or she shall quit the territory. Slaves were ordered to be freed and to leave the state within 3 years. Any blacks age 18 or older had to leave the area, men within 2 years and women within 3. Black children were permitted to stay in the Oregon country until they reached age 18. By December of the same year, this law was deemed too strong. Before it went into effect, the lashings were changed to forced labor. African Americans guilty of being in the area were hired out publicly to whomever would employ them for the shortest amount of time. After the period of forced labor expired, the employer had 6 months to get the black individual out of Oregon. This was just the first exclusionary law passed in Oregon. Along the same lines, George Lawson of Yamhill County moved that non-whites should be legally treated as inferiors due to an innate condition. He said, it being the opinion of this legislator that a Negro, Chinaman, or Indian has no right that a white man is bound to respect, and that a white man may murder, rob, rape, shoot, stab, and cut any of those worthless and vagabond races without being called to account therefor, provided he shall do the said acts of bravery and chivalry when no white man be troubled by seeing the same. This law was not repealed until 1927. Judge Matthew Deedy was part of an organization called the Secret Knights of the Golden Circle. Now keep in mind, a very old ancient word for circle is klux, and clan is an ancient word for family. The Secret Knights of the Golden Circle were in fact the precursor organization for what is now known as the Ku Klux Klan. Judge Matthew Deedy was a very active member. He tried very hard to be part of the inner circle of elite of the time. He spent a lot of time in Portland among the very rich. Although he never made it to be very wealthy, he certainly had a lot of power and influence. He donated, it's reported, over 1,000 of his own books to begin the University of Oregon Law School. 10 years after its completion, the University of Oregon named its first building after Judge Matthew Deedy. Deedy Hall is now a national landmark. Friendly Hall. It's named after Samuel Friendly, a local merchant in the early days of the University of Oregon. He used to sell products for University of Oregon students. The building was designed to be the dormitory. There's 2 entrances in the original design, one for women and one for men. In the center was supposed to be a dining hall. Later, it went through a series of renovations, including the addition of 2 separate dormitories. The dormitories are walled in such a way that it is impossible to access one side of the building without going outside and going back into the next